Mariana was carefully closing the classroom windows as the last rays of the sun disappeared on the horizon. The echoes of children's laughter still hung in the air, mixing with the sound of chairs being stacked and books being stored in worn backpacks. Amid the ensuing silence, the vibrant buzzing of her cell phone on the wooden desk caught her attention. She hesitated for a moment, wiping her hands on her skirt before answering. "Hello, Mariana speaking." On the other end of the line, the formal voice of her lawyer, Dr. Sampaio, contrasted with the warm ambience of the classroom. "Mrs. Mariana, good afternoon. I need you to come to my office as soon as possible. We have important matters to discuss regarding an unexpected issue." A wrinkle of concern formed on Mariana's forehead. "Dr. Sampaio, can you give me any details now? I am just finishing up my activities at school." There was a brief pause, and then the lawyer responded, "It's about a will, Mrs. Mariana. About a considerable inheritance left by your parents." Mariana's heart quickened. "My parents," she almost whispered, her voice laden with confusion. "But they always lived so simply." "Yes, I understand this might be surprising. They were very discreet in life. It's essential that we discuss this in person. Could you come by tomorrow morning?" After agreeing to the meeting, Mariana hung up the phone and leaned on the desk, taking a deep breath to assimilate the news. Her parents, always modest in their habits, had never shown signs of possessing such fortune. What could be behind so much secrecy, she thought. At that moment, a whirlwind of emotions engulfed her. Incredulity, curiosity, and a twinge of suspicion about the true intentions her parents might have had in hiding such a legacy. Mariana looked around the empty room, the silence now seeming to carry the weight of the mystery that was beginning to unfold in her life. With her thoughts still swirling around the revelation, she gathered her belongings, turned off the lights, and closed the classroom door. As she walked down the silent school corridor, Mariana knew that from that moment on, nothing would be the same. She decided to keep the news secret until she fully understood the situation, especially regarding Felipe, her husband. It was crucial to maintain calm and prudence, at least until all the cards were on the table. Thus, with the weight of uncertainty and the possible changes this inheritance would bring, Mariana headed home, where she would begin to prepare for the meeting that could change all the courses of her life. After leaving the school, Mariana's journey to her modest home felt longer than ever. With each step, her mind worked frantically, weighing the pros and cons of sharing the news of the inheritance with Felipe, her husband. Mariana knew Felipe loved her, but she feared that revealing the fortune might introduce unwanted tension between them, or worse, alter the genuine love they had cultivated over the years. When she got home, she found Felipe in the kitchen, preparing dinner. His face lit up when he saw her, and he greeted her with a loving kiss on the forehead. "How was your day, love?" he asked, while stirring something in the pot that smelled delicious. "Quite tiring, but nothing out of the ordinary," Mariana replied, forcing a smile as she hung up her coat. She watched Felipe for a moment, noting the simplicity of his clothes and the ease with which he moved around the kitchen. It was this simple, uncomplicated life that she valued so much. Felipe noticed Mariana's thoughtful expression. "You seem worried. Did something happen at work today?" he asked, turning to look at her with a concerned expression. Mariana shook her head, denying it. "It's not work," she hesitated, biting her lower lip. "I'm just a little tired, I think." Felipe approached and wrapped her in a warm embrace. "Do you want to talk about it? You know you can count on me for anything." She leaned into his embrace, feeling the comfort of his arms. How easy it would be to share everything at that moment. Yet, something inside her hesitated. "Not now," she murmured. "Let's just enjoy dinner." As the evening progressed, Felipe animatedly shared his plans for the weekend, completely oblivious to Mariana's internal turmoil. He laughed and made plans for a trip to the local park, a stark contrast to the complexity now weighing on her shoulders. After dinner, while Felipe cleaned the table, Mariana retreated to the office under the pretext of grading some of her students' papers. Sitting at her desk, she opened her laptop and typed various searches on how to manage large inheritances, each click sinking her further into a sea of information and possible decisions she would have to make. She knew that from that moment on, the simplicity of her previous life was threatened. Outside, Felipe, completely unaware of Mariana's transformed financial status, continued his routine life. He changed the bed linens and planned a small renovation in the backyard, daydreaming about the small improvements they could make together, unaware that the game was about to change. Mariana's decision to keep the secret for the time being seemed prudent, but she knew she could not hide the truth forever. The revelation was inevitable, and the consequences of this choice would shape the future of her marriage and her own identity. It was a quiet night, the darkness enveloping the house with its usual calm, but for Mariana, every moment was now laden with the weight of a monumental secret. Determined not to let the money alter the essence of what they had built together, she took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenges she knew were on the horizon. Yet, as she pondered these matters, Felipe, unaware of everything, slipped serenely into sleep, his mind free of the complicated webs of fortune and destiny. On a quiet afternoon, Felipe entered Mariana's office in search of a laptop charger he had borrowed a few days ago. As he rummaged through the carefully organized drawers, his fingers touched a thick, sealed envelope, clearly forgotten in a hard-to-reach corner. Curious, he pulled out the envelope, noticing it was addressed to Mariana but without any indication of who had sent it. The label simply read, "Confidential." Felipe's heart pulsed with a mix of curiosity and a slight twinge of concern. "Mariana never mentioned this," he murmured, turning the envelope over in his hands. With a momentary hesitation, Felipe tore open the seal. Inside, he found a series of legal documents and a letter from a law firm. The first lines of the letter were clear. "On behalf of your deceased parents, Mariana is hereby recognized as the sole heir to a substantial fortune." Felipe abruptly sat down in the swivel chair, his heart racing as his eyes scanned the figures and details of the inheritance. The discovery left him in shock, not just because of the fortune, but because of the secret life of wealth Mariana's parents had led. As the initial surprise faded, an unexpected greed began to take shape. How could she keep this a secret from me? He wondered, feeling an imaginary betrayal that distorted his perception of the love they shared. The room seemed to spin around him as he contemplated what this wealth could mean for the future. Trying to regain his composure, Felipe stood up and began to pace back and forth, his thoughts alternating between a justification for Mariana's secrecy and the possibilities that such a fortune brought. This could change everything for us. For me, he thought, a growing ambition clouding his judgment. The late afternoon light filtered through the curtains, casting long shadows on the floor. Felipe stopped, looking at the envelope in his hands. What if there was a way to use this to our advantage? To my advantage? He began to conceive a plan, a scheme that could ensure he also directly benefited from the inheritance. Determined, he put the documents back in the envelope, but not before making some notes on a piece of paper he found. He needed advice from someone who shared his vision, and he knew exactly whom to turn to. Felipe picked up the phone and dialed the number of Carla, his colleague and confidant. "Carla, we need to talk. It's urgent and could be beneficial for both of us," he said as soon as she answered. "I'm listening, Felipe," replied Carla, her voice full of caution and interest. "I found something big. But it's delicate, and we need to be astute," Felipe explained, his tone low and conspiratorial. "Meet me at the corner cafe in an hour," Carla said, her curiosity clearly piqued. Felipe agreed, hanging up the phone with a sense of power. He looked once more at the envelope, now hidden in his briefcase. The wheel of fortune had turned, and he was ready to play the game on his own terms. With a new purpose, he left the office, his mind already weaving the threads of a plan that would change their lives forever. The corner cafe was bustling that afternoon, with the constant buzz of conversation and the clinking of cups. Felipe arrived a few minutes before the scheduled time, choosing a discreet table in the corner. He ordered a double coffee, his mind restless in anticipation of the conversation he was about to have with Carla. When Carla arrived, her gaze swept the cafe until she spotted Felipe. She approached with a confident stride, her high heels echoing on the wooden floor. Impeccably dressed, as always, she greeted Felipe with a subtle nod and sat across from him with a curious expression. "So, what is so urgent and potentially lucrative?" she asked, pulling her scarf closer. Felipe looked around before answering, making sure no one was paying attention to them. "I discovered something about Mariana. Something even I didn't know," he began, his voice low. "She inherited a fortune from her parents. We're talking millions." Carla raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised, but a calculating glint quickly appeared in her eyes. "That's interesting. And how do you plan to handle this?" "That's where you come in. We need a plan to make Mariana want to separate from me, something that would make her want to give me part of the inheritance voluntarily," said Felipe, his fingers tapping on the table. Carla took a sip of her coffee, thinking, "This will be delicate. Mariana is not a fool. We'll need something that pushes her emotionally to the limit, something that makes it seem like the decision came from her." Felipe nodded. "I was thinking, maybe we can use the idea of infidelity. If she thinks I'm having an affair, especially under these new financial circumstances, it might destabilize her enough."
"An offer, huh?"
Carla murmured, a slight smile forming. "That could work, especially if we're careful about how we orchestrate everything. It could be convincing, devastating, and most importantly, irreversible for her." Felipe nodded, a momentary feeling of guilt passing through him, but quickly suppressed by the vision of wealth. "We can start setting up evidence. Messages, late-night calls, secret meetings that she might somehow discover." "Perfect," Carla said, her voice cold and decisive. "I can help organize all of this. I'll need access to some of your personal things, maybe add a little drama to your daily life." "Let's do it then," Felipe replied, feeling a mixture of excitement and apprehension about what they were planning. The two continued to discuss details, outlining each step of their insidious plan. They agreed to meet regularly to adjust the strategy as necessary and keep everything under control. As they said goodbye, Felipe felt a cold adrenaline rush down his spine. He was about to cross a line he knew was dangerous, but the promise of gain seemed to outweigh his scruples. Carla, on the other hand, left the cafe with a smile of satisfaction. She saw in Mariana's inheritance not only a chance to rise, but to solidify her power and influence. Together, they had begun to weave a web that, once complete, would be almost impossible to unravel. As Felipe returned home, rehearsing how he would maintain his facade in front of Mariana, he knew that the coming weeks would define the future of all of them. The game had begun, and now there was no turning back. The following days were marked by a palpable change in the atmosphere of Mariana and Felipe's home. Ever observant, Mariana noticed subtle yet significant changes in Felipe's behavior. He seemed distracted during meals, his responses were evasive, and his nighttime outings became frequent and unexplained. Moreover, he was strangely attached to his phone, which was unusual for him in the past. One Saturday morning, while Felipe was in the garden feigning interest in a gardening project he had never mentioned before, Mariana sat in the kitchen with a cup of tea in her hands, her thoughts swirling in turmoil. She knew something was wrong, and her instinct told her that it was not just a passing phase. Determined to uncover the truth, Mariana decided it was time to seek professional help. She found a business card for a private investigator, Ricardo Silva, whom a friend had recommended some time ago for completely different reasons. Taking a deep breath, she dialed the number. "Ricardo Silva, private investigator," a deep voice answered on the other end of the line. "Good morning, Mr. Silva. My name is Mariana. I need your help with a personal matter," Mariana began, hesitantly. "Of course, Mrs. Mariana. We can discuss this in detail. Would you prefer an in-person meeting, or do you want to continue over the phone?" Ricardo replied in a calm and professional voice. An in-person meeting would be better. There is a lot at stake, Mariana said, feeling the weight of her words. They arranged to meet the next day at a discreet cafe. When the time came, Mariana met Ricardo, a middle-aged man with a confident posture and an analytical gaze. She explained the situation, omitting details of the inheritance but expressing her suspicions about Felipe's fidelity. Ricardo listened attentively, jotting down notes in his pad. I will begin monitoring Mr. Felipe's movements immediately. I'll look for anything out of the ordinary, any patterns that might explain his actions, he said, outlining his plan of action. Within a few days, Ricardo returned with news. He discovered that Felipe was frequently in contact with Carla, a real estate agent, and that their meetings seemed to involve more than simple real estate transactions. The photos and message records Ricardo had obtained left little room for doubt. Mariana felt her heart sink with the revelations, but her sadness quickly turned into determination. What are they planning? She asked, her voice firm despite the emotional storm inside. It seems they are preparing some kind of financial maneuver. I'll need a few more days to get concrete details, Ricardo responded, sensing the gravity of the situation. With this information in hand, Mariana began to plot her counteroffensive. She knew she couldn't confront Felipe yet, not without fully understanding the scope and depth of his plans. Instead, she decided to play his game for now, feigning ignorance while carefully planning each move. As Mariana prepared for the battle ahead, she strengthened her resolve. I will turn this game against them, she murmured to herself, a mixture of fear and defiance shining in her eyes. She was no longer just the loving and dedicated teacher. Now, she was a formidable adversary. The days dragged on with a palpable tension as Mariana carefully plotted each step of her plan. After receiving crucial information from Ricardo, she knew she had to act shrewdly to turn the tables on Felipe and Carla. Her facade of ignorance about Felipe's secret activities was meticulously maintained, while inside, she burned with the need to act. On a rainy afternoon, while watching raindrops slide down the kitchen window, Mariana decided it was time to take the next step. She made 2 coffees and called Felipe for a conversation in the living room, where the soft light created an intimate and serene atmosphere. Felipe, noticing Mariana's serious demeanor, sat down, trying to hide his anxiety. He held his cup, the warmth of the coffee contrasting with the cold that was beginning to settle in his heart. Mariana, what's going on? You seem different, Felipe began, trying to gauge the situation. Mariana took a deep breath, facing him with calculated calm. Felipe, I've been thinking a lot about us lately, about our marriage. And honestly, I feel that maybe it would be better if we went our separate ways. Felipe's eyes widened, surprised by her words but internally relieved that she seemed to be playing right into his game. You're talking about divorce? He asked, his voice trembling. Yes, divorce. But I want to do this amicably. I suggest we transfer the inheritance to a joint account. That way, we can resolve everything without legal complications and move on, Mariana proposed, keeping her gaze fixed on him. Felipe hid his smile of satisfaction behind a concerned expression. If that's what you think is best. I just want you to be happy, Mariana. Mariana noticed the glint of greed in Felipe's eyes but kept her expression neutral. Great. I'll talk to my lawyer and prepare everything. We can resolve this quickly. I agree, the sooner the better, Felipe replied, already beginning to imagine his future life with Mariana's fortune. In the following days, Mariana worked with her lawyer, a trusted man who was fully aware of the plan. Together, they prepared the necessary documents, but with a safeguard that Felipe was unaware of. Each step was a strategically placed piece on the chessboard that Mariana's life had become. Blinded by the prospect of unrestricted access to the inheritance, Felipe did not notice the subtle hints that he was being manipulated. He signed the papers without paying much attention to the details, driven by the desire to complete the process. With the plan in motion and the trap carefully set, Mariana prepared for the final act. Her determination was a burning flame within her, fueled by betrayal and the need for justice. The trap was ready, and Mariana knew the time to reveal the truth was approaching. She just needed one last piece to complete her game, the meeting that would expose Felipe and Carla to the world, unmasking them under the spotlight of the press and the law. As Mariana planned this decisive encounter, the line between revenge and justice seemed increasingly blurred. Mariana, with the help of her trusted lawyer, Mr. Lopez, organized a meeting that would be the scene of a dramatic revelation. The premise was a simple review of the terms of the inheritance division, but Mariana had more comprehensive plans for that day. She had ensured that, in addition to the lawyers, members of the press would be present, allegedly to cover a story on amicable resolutions of high-profile divorces. The chosen venue was a conference room in a renowned law office in the city center, with an impressive view that contrasted with the gravity of what was about to occur. The glass walls offered a panoramic view of the city, but today, all the curtains were closed, ensuring privacy and seriousness for the meeting. Felipe and Carla, completely unaware of what was about to happen, arrived together, confident and slightly arrogant. Felipe greeted the lawyers with a forced smile, while Carla adjusted her coat, her posture conveying a not entirely genuine confidence. "Thank you for coming," Mariana began, her voice calm but with a slight tremor that only the most attentive might notice. "I believe it is important that we clarify everything about the divorce process and the division of assets in a transparent and fair manner." Felipe nodded, still smiling, completely oblivious to what was about to happen. "I agree, Mariana. The sooner we resolve this, the better for everyone," he said, briefly glancing at Carla for approval. Mariana then turned to Mr. Lopez, who was carrying a folder full of documents. "Mr. Lopez, could you start the presentation of the documents?" she requested. With a nod, the lawyer placed the documents on the projector, and the first image revealed was a photograph of Felipe and Carla on a romantic outing, clearly unaware they were being photographed. The room fell silent, except for the soft click of the journalists' cameras. Felipe paled, while Carla seemed on the brink of panic. "Mariana, what does this mean?" Felipe stammered, his voice losing its previous confidence. "It means, Felipe, that I know everything," Mariana declared, her voice now firm and clear. "Every plan, every lie. And I brought you here not just to discuss the divorce, but to reveal the truth." The lawyer then proceeded to present more evidence, including messages exchanged between Felipe and Carla, planning how to manipulate Mariana into giving them access to the inheritance. With each new slide, Felipe and Carla's expressions fell further and further, while the journalists' faces lit up with the prospect of an explosive story. When the presentation ended, the silence was palpable. Felipe tried to speak, perhaps to find some excuse or explanation, but the words seemed to fail him. Carla, for her part, remained motionless, as if the reality of the situation had finally hit her. "As you can see," Mariana continued, now addressing the journalists, "what was supposed to be an amicable divorce process was tainted by greed and betrayal. But I believe in justice and truth." The members of the press began to ask questions, their voices overlapping as they sought answers. Mariana responded calmly, assuring them that appropriate legal measures would be taken. Felipe, finally regaining his voice, began to speak, trying to justify his actions in a dramatic press conference, but his words sounded hollow. Carla, beside him, seemed to have given up on any attempt at defense. As Felipe vainly tried to salvage what was left of his reputation, Mariana felt a mix of relief and sadness. She had won, yes, but at what cost? As she pondered this, she knew she still had one last task to fulfill: to use her inheritance in a way her parents would have been proud of. After the shocking revelation, a press conference was quickly organized in the same building, taking advantage of the presence of journalists already mobilized by the discovery. The room chosen for the event was packed with representatives from various media outlets, each eager to capture every nuance of this story of betrayal and deception. Felipe, visibly shaken and pale, stepped up to the podium with a hesitation that sharply contrasted with the arrogant confidence of hours earlier. Beside him, Carla remained silent, her face a mask of resignation and despair. "Ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you for being here today," Felipe began, his voice trembling. "I know that what was revealed today puts me in an extremely negative light. I would like to clarify some points." The camera flashes illuminated his face as he paused, searching for the right words. "My actions, although guided by poor judgment, were motivated by the fear of losing everything Mariana and I had built. It was never my intention to hurt her," he continued, his voice faltering. A journalist at the back of the room stood up, interrupting him. "Mr. Felipe, how do you explain the explicit messages detailing the plan to manipulate your wife and take control of the inheritance? That sounds like more than just poor judgment." Felipe swallowed hard, his hands trembling slightly. "I was led by ambition, it's true. And for that, I sincerely apologize to Mariana and everyone affected by my reckless actions." Carla, who had been silent until then, finally spoke, her voice low but clear. "I also deeply regret my involvement. I was driven by ambition, something that I now see blinded me to what is ethical and right." The questions continued, each response from Felipe and Carla only increasing the media frenzy. The story was a feast for the newspapers, a drama of betrayal and consequences in a society that values the narrative of love and success so highly. As the conference unfolded, the reputation of Felipe and Carla disintegrated more and more. Each excuse seemed only to solidify public opinion that both were guilty not only of betrayal but of excessive greed that had ruined a family. When the conference finally ended, Felipe and Carla left the room under the whispers and condemning looks of those present. The press quickly dispersed, eager to broadcast the story that would certainly dominate the news cycles for the next few weeks. With their reputations in ruins and the future uncertain, Felipe felt the weight of his choices more than ever. Carla, in turn, faced the reality that her ambitions had led her to a dead end, her career and personal life in disarray. As the two faced the consequences of their actions, Mariana watched from afar, the sadness in her eyes mixed with a sense of justice. She knew that despite everything, the hardest part was still to come, rebuilding her life and using her inheritance in a way that would honor her parents' memory. After the storm of emotions and revelations, Mariana felt a weight lift from her shoulders, but at the same time, a new responsibility settled in. The inheritance, now entirely under her control, represented an opportunity for change, not just for her, but for many others. In the days following the press conference, Mariana spent long hours in her home office, surrounded by piles of papers and books on philanthropy and foundation management. She was determined to use her parents' wealth in a way that would perpetuate their legacy of kindness and discretion, but in a more visible and impactful manner. On a quiet afternoon, Mariana met with Clara, an old friend and NGO consultant, to discuss her ideas. The meeting took place in a small local cafe, where they could talk away from the curious eyes still focused on the recent scandal. "Clara, I want to do something meaningful with this inheritance. My parents always valued education, and I believe that supporting educators and underprivileged students would be the best way to honor their memory," Mariana explained, her eyes shining with a mix of determination and emotion. Clara listened attentively and nodded. "I think that's a wonderful idea, Mariana. A foundation could really make a difference, especially in underserved areas where access to quality education is a challenge. The logistics concern me a bit. I want to do this right, ensure that the money is used in the best possible way," Mariana confessed, running her hands through her hair in a gesture of concern. "You'll need a reliable team, perhaps even an advisory board. And of course, an audit and full transparency will be essential to maintaining the foundation's integrity," Clara advised, sketching out an initial plan in a notebook. Mariana noted everything carefully, grateful for Clara's guidance. "And what about the criteria for selecting projects and scholarships?" she asked, wanting to cover all aspects. "We can define criteria based on the community's needs and the educational goals you want to achieve. This will also help keep the foundation's focus," Clara explained, detailing the steps Mariana would need to follow. Encouraged by the conversation, Mariana felt a new energy pulsing within her. She was ready to turn her pain and experience into something positive for the world. In the following days, she worked tirelessly, assembling a team of experts in education and philanthropy to form the foundation's base. With the plan beginning to take shape, Mariana organized a meeting with potential donors and strategic partners. The meeting would be in the same law office where she had exposed Felipe and Carla, but this time, the goal was to build, not destroy. As Mariana prepared for this new phase, she constantly remembered what her parents would have wanted. Inspired by the love and values they taught her, she was ready to make a difference in many people's lives, ensuring that her fortune would be used to continue a legacy of generosity and discretion. With a mix of determination and inspiration, Mariana threw herself into the creation of her foundation. She knew that the success of this venture would depend not only on the initial capital, but also on a solid strategy and efficient operation. The following weeks were filled with meetings, discussions, and meticulous planning. On a bright Monday morning, Mariana called a meeting with her newly formed team, including educators, administrators, and philanthropy experts, in a spacious office that would serve as the foundation's temporary headquarters. With a large map of the region hanging on the wall and various notes and charts spread across the table, the tone of the meeting was one of pragmatic optimism. "I want our foundation not only to support but also to inspire. Every project we support must have a direct and measurable impact on the community," Mariana began, sharing her vision with the team. "We need programs that not only help students access education but also empower educators to expand their skills and resources." The team nodded in agreement, and one of the members, Dr. Enrique, who had extensive experience in educational projects, added, "I completely agree, Mariana. We can start with a scholarship program, but we should also consider workshops and training for teachers in underserved areas. This could create a multiplying effect." "Exactly," Mariana responded, encouraged by the suggestion. "And what about partnerships? We need strong allies who share our values and vision." Lara, a community development specialist, suggested, "There are several local organizations and companies that might be interested in partnering with us. The key will be to present our foundation not just as a donor, but as a partner in sustainable educational development." Mariana nodded, taking notes feverishly. "Let's draft a clear and targeted proposal for potential partners by the end of this week. I want everyone to feel like they are part of this project, as an investment in the future of our community." In the following months, Mariana and her team worked tirelessly, establishing the foundation's infrastructure, setting clear guidelines for awarding scholarships, and organizing fundraising and awareness events. The community's response was immediately positive. Teachers, parents, and local leaders expressed their enthusiasm and support through active participation and contributions. The official launch of the foundation was marked by a community event that included speeches, presentations by students benefiting from the initial programs, and demonstrative workshops for educators. In her opening speech, Mariana highlighted the importance of education as a pillar for individual and community development. "Today is not just the launch of a foundation. It is the beginning of a journey to transform our community through education. Every child we help, every teacher we empower, is a step towards a brighter future," Mariana declared, receiving warm applause from those present. The event not only solidified the foundation's presence in the community, but also attracted the attention of the local media, which extensively covered the organization's activities and goals. With this growing recognition, the foundation quickly established itself as a positive influence in the region. With the foundation now fully operational and gaining recognition, Mariana felt a deep sense of satisfaction but knew that the work was just beginning. She was ready to face the challenges and celebrate the achievements that would come, certain that she was honoring her parents' legacy in a meaningful and lasting way. As Mariana's foundation gained traction, the evidence of its impact began to materialize in tangible and inspiring ways. The foundation's headquarters, always a place of frenetic activity, became a meeting point for stories of transformation and hope. On a sunny afternoon, while Mariana was reviewing progress reports from various ongoing programs, she was interrupted by an unexpected visit. It was Anna, a young beneficiary of one of the scholarships offered by the foundation, accompanied by her mother, Lucia. "Sorry for the interruption, Mariana," began Lucia, visibly emotional. "But we needed to come and thank you in person. The scholarship Anna received was a turning point in our lives." Mariana smiled, inviting them to sit. "There's no need to apologize. I'm always happy to see the beneficiaries of our programs. Tell me more about your experience, Anna." Anna, a shy teenager but with a gleam of determination in her eyes, replied, "Well, before the scholarship, I wasn't sure if I could continue my education after high school. My parents work a lot, but it was always a financial struggle. Now," Anna continued, "I'm attending college prep classes, and my dream of becoming a doctor doesn't seem so far away. All thanks to the foundation." Mariana listened, deeply moved. "That's wonderful, Anna. Your success is exactly why we work so hard here." This encounter reinvigorated Mariana and reaffirmed the importance of the Foundation's work. In the following weeks, she began compiling these success stories for a newsletter that would be distributed to the Foundation's donors and partners, highlighting the real impact of their investments. In addition to scholarships, the Foundation also initiated a series of workshops for teachers in underserved school districts, equipping them with new methodologies and technologies to improve teaching quality. One of these teachers, Mr. Gomez, made a point to share his testimony during a networking event organized by the Foundation. "Before the training, I struggled to engage my students. Many of them come from challenging backgrounds, and it's hard to capture their attention," Mr. Gomez explained. "But now, with the new techniques and resources I received, I see a significant change. They're more interested, more engaged. It changes everything." Each story like this strengthened the support network around the Foundation and expanded its reach and effectiveness. The local community not only welcomed the initiative with enthusiasm, but also began to see the Foundation as a vital part of the educational fabric of the region. The growth and success of the Foundation did not go unnoticed. Mariana was invited to speak at several conferences and panels on philanthropy and education, where she shared her experiences and insights, always emphasizing the need for a continuous commitment to education. With recognition came more responsibility. Mariana knew that each step the Foundation took toward success increased the expectation for its future performance. Inspired by the lives she was helping to change, she now prepared for the Foundation's next big project, which promised to further expand its impact and reach. As Mariana's Foundation established itself as a pillar in the educational community, her vision and tireless dedication began to attract attention in broader spheres. It was no surprise when she received a letter from a renowned national educational organization, informing her that she had been nominated to receive one of the most prestigious awards in the field for her significant contribution to education. The news arrived on a crisp autumn morning. Mariana was in her office, surrounded by piles of documents and plans for future projects, when her assistant, Rita, entered with an elegant envelope in hand. "A special delivery for you, Mariana," said Rita, with an intriguing smile. Mariana, a little surprised, took the envelope and carefully opened it, revealing the letter inside. As she read it, her heart beat with a mix of surprise and joy. "I can't believe it," she murmured, her eyes scanning the words that confirmed her nomination. Rita, seeing Mariana's expression change, asked, "Good news?" "Very good," replied Mariana, sharing the news. "I've been nominated for an award for our contribution to education." "That's amazing, Mariana. Congratulations!" Rita exclaimed, sharing in the excitement. In the days that followed, as she prepared for the award ceremony, Mariana found herself reflective, thinking about the path she had taken. From the painful revelation of Felipe and Carla's betrayals to transforming her pain into a productive purpose, each step seemed to have paved the way for this moment. On the eve of the ceremony, Mariana decided to revisit the school where it all began, her old elementary school. Walking through the still familiar hallways, she met with the current principal, an old friend and colleague, Sonia, who welcomed her warmly. "Mariana, your visit is an honor for us," said Sonia, guiding her through the updated facilities. "I wanted to come back here before the ceremony," Mariana explained. It was in this school that I first realized the power of education and the impact a teacher can have on a student's life. You've always had a heart to serve, Mariana, Sonia responded. And now you're doing it on such a large scale. We're all very proud. On the day of the ceremony, Mariana took the stage in front of an audience filled with educators, philanthropists, and thought leaders. With the grace of someone who understands the importance of the moment, she accepted the award, her speech resonating through the room with words of gratitude, hope, and a call for continued support for education. This award is not just mine, but for all who work daily to transform education into a tool for empowerment and change. Let's continue to fight for a future where every child has the opportunity to learn and grow, Mariana declared, receiving a standing ovation. With the recognition solidified, Mariana felt not only the validation of her work, but also the reinforcement of her mission. She knew that from that moment on, the foundation had an even more critical role to play in society. Revitalized by the support and recognition, she was ready to face new challenges and celebrate future achievements, knowing she was on the right path. The grand hall where the award ceremony would take place was adorned with subtle elegance, reflecting the seriousness and importance of the event. Long curtains draped the windows, and arrangements of fresh flowers adorned each table. As the guests began to arrive, the buzz of animated conversations filled the air, creating an atmosphere of celebration and recognition. Mariana, dressed in an elegant blue gown that complemented her serene demeanor, warmly welcomed each guest. Among them were longtime colleagues, close friends, and representatives from schools that had been deeply impacted by her foundation. Also present were Anna and her mother Lucia, whose lives had been transformed by the scholarship Anna had received. "Mariana, we simply couldn't miss this," said Lucia, holding Mariana's hands in hers. "You've changed our lives." Anna, now more confident, added, "Thanks to your help, I'm on my way to achieving my dream. Thank you for believing in me." Mariana smiled, touched by Anna's words. "That's why we work so hard. Every story like yours reaffirms why we do what we do." As the hour approached, Mariana was led to the stage. The room fell silent, all eyes on her as she took the podium. The softly focused lights highlighted her calm yet commanding presence. "Good evening, everyone," Mariana began, her clear voice echoing through the hall. "I am deeply honored to be here tonight, not just to receive this award, but to celebrate what it truly represents." She paused, looking around the room, making eye contact with several people she knew personally. Education is more than academic learning. It is a tool for transformation, a bridge that allows us to reach our full potential and, in turn, illuminate the path for others. Mariana continued, highlighting the various initiatives the foundation had launched, each designed not only to educate but to empower entire communities. This year, we have not only increased the number of scholarships but also expanded our training programs for teachers, who are the backbone of our educational mission. The audience listened, many nodding in recognition of the achievements she described. Mariana concluded her speech on a personal note, reflecting on her own journey. "Tonight, as I accept this award, I do so on behalf of everyone who has been part of this magnificent journey. From my incredible team to brave students like Anna and the dedicated educators who turn our visions into reality every day." Warm applause erupted as Mariana stepped down from the stage, her message resonating in the hearts and minds of everyone present. The rest of the evening was a mix of celebrations and inspiring discussions, with many expressing their desire to contribute or participate in some way with the foundation. As the ceremony came to an end, Mariana knew that the connections made and the stories shared that night would serve as a catalyst for future initiatives. She was ready to return to work, energized by the applause and support, but even more by the certainty that the path ahead was aligned with even greater possibilities. As the foundation gained solidity and recognition, Mariana felt more motivated than ever to expand its reach. The success of the award ceremony had opened new doors and sparked renewed interest in her initiatives. With a trusted team by her side and an increasingly engaged community, she was ready to take the foundation to new heights. On a Tuesday morning, after weeks of preparation and consultations, Mariana called a strategic meeting with her core team. The office buzzed with the excitement that new projects bring. The walls were covered with charts, maps, and timelines, each detailing different aspects of the planned expansions. "Everyone, please, let's get started," Mariana announced as her team gathered around the large conference table. "Today, we have an important agenda. We'll discuss the planned expansions for the next year and how we can effectively implement them." One of the first discussion points was the proposal to expand the scholarship programs to include more rural areas, where access to quality education was still a significant challenge. Pedro, the program director, presented the proposal. "Based on our research and community feedback, we've identified several rural areas where educational intervention can make a substantial difference," Pedro explained. "We propose starting a pilot project in 3 of these areas, with the goal of gradually expanding depending on results and available funding." Mariana listened attentively, nodding in agreement. "Excellent work, Pedro. This aligns with our mission to make education accessible to everyone. We need to ensure our team on the ground is well equipped and that there is a clear line of communication between them and headquarters." The discussion moved on to the issue of funding. Laura, the finance director, presented several options to support the expansion. Considering the costs and potential impact, we explored different funding sources, including new partnerships, increasing engagement with existing donors, and potential government grants, Laura said. "We should also consider holding more frequent fundraising events and perhaps an online donation campaign," Mariana suggested, always looking for innovative ways to engage the community and ensure the foundation's financial sustainability. After hours of productive discussion, the team outlined a detailed action plan, setting clear goals and deadlines. Mariana concluded the meeting with a note of gratitude and motivation. "I want to thank everyone for their commitment and effort. Together, we are not just dreaming but achieving. Every step we take is a step toward a brighter future for countless children and young people." Energized by the meeting, Mariana spent the rest of the day reviewing plans and preparing for the next steps. She knew the challenges would be significant, but the possibility of transforming more lives provided all the motivation she needed. As the day came to an end, Mariana reflected on the foundation's growth and the many lives that had been touched. She felt grateful and humbled by the opportunity to lead such an initiative, eager for the success stories that were yet to come. As Mariana tirelessly dedicated herself to the expansion of her foundation, life seemed to have an unexpected surprise in store for her, one that would reignite her heart with a new flame of hope and joy. During a conference on educational innovation, an event that gathered some of the most influential thinkers in the field, Mariana met Lucas, a vibrant educator whose passion for making a difference resonated deeply with hers. Lucas, a speaker at the event, captured Mariana's attention not only with his innovative ideas, but also with his genuine charisma and palpable commitment to social transformation through education. After his presentation, Mariana made a point to approach him and express her admiration for his work. "Lucas, your talk was incredibly inspiring," Mariana began, extending her hand. "I'm Mariana, from the Estrella Educational Foundation. I think we have a lot in common in our missions." Lucas, with a warm smile, shook her hand. "Thank you, Mariana. I've heard a lot about your foundation and the impact you're making. It's a pleasure to meet someone as dedicated to the cause as you are." What began as a professional conversation quickly transformed into a more personal exchange of ideas about their visions and dreams for the future of education. They discovered that they shared not only professional goals but also a similar sense of humor and a range of personal interests that led them to extend their conversation to dinner after the conference. In the following months, Mariana and Lucas met regularly, both at professional events and in more informal settings. What was initially a partnership based on mutual professional interests gradually turned into something deeper and more personal. Lucas proved to be not only an inspiring colleague but also a caring and thoughtful companion. On a quiet afternoon, as they walked through the city park after a planning meeting for a new collaborative project, Lucas stopped, looking at Mariana with a serious expression. "Mariana, I know we're both immersed in our work, which we love deeply, but I need to say something," Lucas began hesitantly. "These past months, getting to know you, working by your side. It's been incredibly meaningful to me. You inspire me not just professionally, but personally as well." Mariana felt her heart beat faster, surprised and touched by Lucas's words. "Lucas, I feel the same," she admitted, a shy smile forming on her lips. "I didn't expect this, but I'm very happy it happened." With a radiant smile, Lucas stepped closer, holding Mariana's hands. "I'd like to see where this can take us, Mariana, if you'd like that too." "I would, Lucas. Very much," Mariana replied, her voice full of emotion. From that day on, the relationship between Mariana and Lucas blossomed, intertwining not only in their shared passion for philanthropic work but also in a deep emotional commitment that sustained them through the challenges of their demanding careers. As Mariana planned the future with Lucas by her side, she felt invigorated and more determined than ever to continue her work with the foundation, now with a partner who shared her vision and her heart. Together, they looked forward, not only to the impact they could have on the world, but also to the possibilities of what they could build together. As the relationship between Mariana and Lucas grew stronger, so did their professional collaboration. Together, they found new momentum to broaden the foundation's horizons, seeking not only to expand geographically but also to deepen the impact of existing initiatives. The couple spent many nights and weekends crafting ambitious plans, each bringing a unique perspective that complemented the others. On a sunny Saturday afternoon, Mariana and Lucas gathered in their home office, a space they had dedicated to brainstorming and planning. Maps, demographics, and charts were spread across the table as they discussed the foundation's next big move. "Mariana, I've been thinking about our reach in rural areas," Lucas began, pointing to a map on the wall. "There's significant potential for partnerships with local organizations that already have good infrastructure but need support in terms of educational resources and teacher training." Mariana, who was reviewing an impact report, looked at Lucas with interest. "That makes sense. We could use these partnerships to create programs that are sustainable in the long run, not just one-time interventions. What do you think about starting a series of training workshops to identify community leaders in these areas? They could become our points of contact and facilitators." Lucas agreed enthusiastically. "Perfect. And what if we also include a technology component? We can develop e-learning platforms that complement the in-person training. This would not only increase the reach of the programs but also ensure their continuity." Inspired by the idea, Mariana picked up the phone and began arranging a meeting with the Foundation's technology team. "Let's schedule a brainstorming session for next week. I want all our best minds thinking about how to make this possible." In the days that followed, Mariana and Lucas dedicated themselves to crafting a detailed proposal to present to the Foundation's board. They discussed every aspect, from the budget to success indicators, ensuring their proposal was both visionary and viable. The day of the presentation to the board finally arrived. Mariana and Lucas, now a cohesive and confident team, presented their ideas with passion and precision. "With these new initiatives, we're not just expanding our presence," Mariana explained to the board members. "We're multiplying our impact, offering solutions that endure and thrive alongside the communities we serve." The board received the plans with enthusiasm, and several constructive suggestions were made, further enriching the proposed project. With the board's approval, Mariana and Lucas immediately began working on implementing the new initiatives, closely monitoring progress and making adjustments as needed. As new partnerships formed and programs began to take shape, Mariana felt a deep gratitude for having Lucas by her side, not only as a loving partner but as a fundamental ally in her life's mission. Together, they were not only designing but also experiencing a future full of possibilities and positive transformations. As the afternoon gave way to twilight, Mariana sat on her porch, looking out at the garden where the shadows of the trees danced gently in the wind. It was a moment of calm and introspection after a long and fruitful day of work. Lucas joined her with 2 cups of tea, sitting down beside her. "You seem thoughtful," Lucas commented, handing her one of the cups. Mariana smiled as she accepted the tea. I was just reflecting on everything we've achieved so far, she replied. You know, Lucas, sometimes I'm still surprised at how far we've come. Lucas nodded, gazing at the garden. It's truly impressive. And to think it all started with a vision and the desire to make a difference. Mariana sighed, the steam from the tea rising between them. Yes, and it makes me think a lot about legacy. Not just mine or ours, but what my parents started. Without their example, I might never have started the foundation. They taught me the value of generosity and hard work. Lucas placed his cup on the table. And now you're passing those values on, not just to the people we help directly, but to everyone in the foundation and to those who are inspired by our work. Mariana nodded, her eyes scanning the garden, reflecting on the countless lives that had been touched by the foundation. That's what gives me peace, she said, knowing that, in some way, the essence of what my parents valued continues to live on and spread. The conversation then shifted to future plans. Mariana and Lucas discussed strategies for the coming year, including expanding some programs that had been particularly successful and introducing new initiatives that could address other critical needs they had identified. We have a lot of work ahead, Lucas said with a motivating smile. But I'm looking forward to every challenge. Doing it by your side makes it all the more meaningful. Mariana smiled back, her heart full of gratitude for having Lucas by her side, both personally and professionally. I couldn't ask for a better partner on this journey. As night fell, Mariana felt a deep connection with everything she had accomplished and a renewed determination to continue her work. She knew the challenges would be many, but the promise of making a lasting difference in the world gave her strength and purpose. Reflecting on her legacy and the impact she would continue to have, Mariana felt energized to face the future, brimming with ideas and plans to ensure the foundation not only survived but thrived. She was ready to take on the next challenges, knowing that every step forward was a testament to the mission that had begun with the simple yet powerful intention to help. The soft light of dawn filtered through the window of Mariana's office, spreading over the many documents and photographs of events and people the foundation had helped. She was sitting at her desk, reviewing plans for a new program that promised to reach even more underserved communities. Beside her, a corkboard displayed maps dotted with colorful pins, each representing a location where the foundation had made its mark. Lucas entered the office, holding 2 cups of fresh coffee and a tablet. He handed one of the cups to Mariana and pointed to an update on the tablet. I just received an email from the field team. The pilot project in the northern region is going better than we expected. The initial assessments are extremely positive. Mariana smiled, taking a sip of her coffee before responding. That's wonderful. Our decision to integrate educational technology is really making a difference, then. Yes, it is. And there's more, Lucas continued, his enthusiasm evident. A school that started with our basic teacher training program now wants to expand to include advanced learning resources. They're seeing real improvements in student outcomes. Mariana nodded in approval, her mind already exploring the possibilities. We need to make sure they have all the support they need. Maybe we can consider a site visit next month. It would be good to see the progress firsthand and better understand their needs. As they discussed the details, Mariana reflected on the journey she had taken. From the dark days of betrayal and disillusionment to moments of victory and recognition, each step had been a lesson in resilience and purpose. Her life, irrevocably intertwined with the Foundation's mission, was a testament to the power of commitment and passion. Mariana, Lucas said, interrupting her thoughts, have you ever stopped to think about how much we've accomplished in such a short time? It's truly incredible. She smiled, a gleam of contentment in her eyes. I think about it every day, Lucas. And each time, I come to the same conclusion. There is still so much more to be done. With you leading the way, I'm sure we'll achieve even more, Lucas affirmed, placing his hand on hers in a gesture of support and affection. Mariana looked outside, where the sun now bathed the garden in light and color. She felt a mix of gratitude and determination. Her story, intertwined with so many others the foundation had touched, was a continuous narrative of hope and impact. The true value of our work, she said, turning to Lucas with a smile, lies not just in what we have done, but in what we have yet to do. The future is indeed bright, and I'm more than ready for it. Thus, Mariana's story didn't end, but evolved, always expanding, always seeking new ways to enrich and improve lives around the world. Her parents' legacy, rooted in generosity and a love for education, continued to grow, a living testament to the transformative power of giving, teaching, and loving.
So, if you're not subscribed yet, click on the subscribe button below and join our community. Thank you for your support and see you in the next videos.